So to say or suggest that it's just calories in, calories out, what's up, everybody? Coach Rob here, and yes, it has been far too long since I've done a video, and I apologize for that. It's been a very, very tough, busy, challenging month and a half, but I've been getting a lot of DMs and a lot of messages of very angry people. Apparently my 9 loyal followers are very pissed off that I've not released something lately, and that means a lot to me. That makes me feel really special that there's actually a handful of people out there that gives a shit about the stuff that I post on this particular medium. So thank you very much for your concern, and I'm really excited to be back in the groove. Now, this isn't that new video. That new video is probably coming out next week. As of the recording of this particular video, it is November 2024, right in front of the Thanksgiving holidays that are upcoming next week. And my goal is to release that new video, and its working title is something along the lines of How to Be Unstoppable at Any Age. And I'm releasing that because I am currently cranking up the machinery on my own program to try to get back into another really tough, roughly 12-week program to get me in the best shape of my life at my age, because I plan on embarking on a 50-mile ruck challenge in the new year, hopefully in mid-January. And it will be quite challenging. And that's kind of the premise of the video, is showing everyone out there how I feel would be a fantastic approach to help you get into the very best shape of your life at any age. But I digress. This particular video, I just wanted to turn on the camera because I miss you guys and talk about a hot topic that especially is a hot topic in my own Carnivore Bodybuilding Facebook group, where everybody seems to always be in a back alley knife fight over this particular topic. And I just want to give you my take, what I feel about this, and sort of my final position on the matter. And that is calories. Calories can be used as a metric in order to track trends towards whatever goal you are working toward, whether it be, whatever body composition goal that might be. If it's getting rid of unwanted body fat and getting leaner, if it's gaining muscle mass and putting on some weight, or just maintaining, whatever the goal may be, would be disingenuous to not say that calories are used as a trackable metric for nearly everyone out there when they're doing this stuff, and that's okay. But you have to understand that the caloric measurement in terms of your own personal goals has to be adjusted. I call it adjusted calories when I assign calories for a client that I'm working with that is trying to make a serious change in their body composition. You cannot take these sons of bitches at face value. It's extremely inaccurate to do so, and actually kind of silly when you think about it. Now, the way calories work, I'm going to give you my 3rd grade explanation of this because that's how I operate. Because to get far above a 3rd grade level is just, tedious and mind-numbing for me. So I'm going to try to explain it to you in the simplest possible way I can. A bomb calorimeter is a device that was developed a long time ago to try to determine the number of calories or heat that was contained in a particular food in order to know how much relative to consumption one would acquire to attain a particular goal in body composition, or just a measurement of the amount of energy that was in food. Basically, it was you took a particular food and you put it into this box, and you put said box into water. So think of a box that you submerge into a huge tank of water, and then you start to heat it up. And then however the changes occur in the temperature of the water notates the number of calories contained within that particular food stuff. So basically the definition of a calorie is the amount of energy required to raise 1 kilogram of water 1 degree Celsius. And I know a lot of people think, what the hell does that have with food? But that's basically how it was used. But if you think about that in terms of accuracy for yourself in tracking calories in order to produce an aesthetic result or a body composition result, that is wildly inaccurate at face value. It's almost laughable at face value. In order to truly gain success, you have to determine the total volume or mass of food that you contain relative to your output and other factors like genetics and age and things of that nature in order to produce a result. So I do use calories as a metric to track trends toward weight loss or mass gain or whatever the goal may be of the client. So what you do, since so many clients are used to using this medium in order to track progress, is you have to have what I call adjusted calories. So I do assign a certain caloric ceiling based on that client's weight, age, goals, you name it. A lot of factors factor in there. And then I will assign a formula that has worked very well for me over decades of time to help somebody change that body composition. But it's going to be different for every human being out there. It's not like you can just assign a number to every individual and it's always going to work. So these calories in, calories out crowd that just take it as a face value metric are severely misguided. And that's why we need to understand the best way to adjust this in order to make it work for you. So once I determine a particular calculation for that particular client, I'm going to assign a certain amount of protein, a certain amount of fat, and a tiny amount, if any, amount of carbohydrate. And then we are going to, that produces then a caloric ceiling based on how many grams of protein, how many grams of fat, how many grams of carbs. You do the math on that, and you have a certain caloric ceiling that you assign to the client. And then what you do, this is the important part, you track their results over time. And I found that 4 to 6 weeks is generally a good amount of time to see what that volume of food translated into calories does for that client. So if I assign a number to the client and over the course of 4 to 6 weeks, they're being very, very truthful with their tracking and what they're doing, and they stay very consistent to the plan. And if we determine that they are on a nice, slow, steady arc downward of weight, they're losing weight, and we know through a lot of questions that we can ask the client if the majority of that weight is body fat, because that's the goal. Conversely, if somebody's losing way too much weight way too fast beyond that initial water dump, then I know that we may be going too deep on the volume of food, and you can then get diminishing returns because then you can tap into muscle mass. Then you can get the adverse effect of that person's or that client's metabolism starting to slow down as a preservation mechanism to keep them alive, because they're getting such a small amount of food taken in. Their body thinks either they're starving to death or they're a shitty hunter. And in any case, it needs to slow down system processes to save fat in order to sustain life if they are in fact starving. So again, we take that measurement that I assign to my client, we do the math on that, and then we work the problem over the course of 4 to 6 weeks, and we track the progress. And then at that time, based on the progress, we will adjust it again until we find that sweet spot where that client is losing body fat and maintaining lean mass as much as possible on a nice, slow arc downward, moving toward that particular body composition goal. It's also important to note here that I would never recommend anybody be in a deficit, an energy deficit, call it caloric deficit if you will, once we know what the adjustment is. I wouldn't do that any longer than about 8 to 12 weeks, because then we can go back to that previously mentioned diminishing returns you might get for being somewhat undernourished for a long period of time. And ultimately, you're going to hit that dreaded stall where the body starts to pump the brakes on this and dial things back a little bit for preservation of life. So again, you can use calories provided you understand that that number you see on a food label really is arbitrary and totally meaningless. you have to, if you want to use calories as a trackable measurement because you've got the tracking app and you want to have something where you can measure trends, yes, you can use calories. You can also use that adjusted intake of calories to understand the volume of food or the mass of food that's working best for you to either, if you're cutting or if you're trying to put on muscle and you're in a gain phase, whatever the case may be. So again, guys, ladies, my stance on calories is, it is wildly inaccurate, it's very arbitrary, and it really doesn't have a whole lot to do with that number unless you adjust it according to the individual. Back to that bomb calorimeter, or that machine that we use to attach a number value to the food you're consuming. If you put a piece of steak and an avocado in that unit and measured its caloric, the amount of calories it contains in that machine, and let's say that comes up to 500 calories, and then you put some processed shitty bullshit food into that machine, measure that, and let's say it comes to 500 calories, let's say it's a cheeseburger and fries from McDonald's, you may be able to determine that those two foods both equal 500 calories, but I think you and I both know the effect on the body is going to be wildly different in terms of you getting success and dropping body fat, sparing muscle, building muscle, all the good things. It's going to be wildly different between the two. So to say or suggest that it's just calories in, calories out is silly. And I would never be so bold or ignorant to suggest that somebody take calories at face value. So are calories bullshit? Yes. On the surface, at face value, they are bullshit. However, because millions of people out there still use them as a trackable metric to gauge progress and see trending, you adjust the volume of food that is working for you and then assign the caloric number to that knowable volume of food. So now you know the tracked and adjusted number of calories that are going to push you towards your goal. I hope that makes sense. So I just wanted to get that off my chest, explain that to you people, because everybody's, having, a bare knuckle broken beer bottle bar fight over this stuff. And it's a lot of people just don't quite understand how it works. And I know the explanation I just gave you was very elementary. There is more involved in that, but the explanation still works. It makes you understand that, looking at a package, looking at the number of calories, it goes so much further than that. So, and, for some of you out there, you can also just ditch the calories altogether and just go by sheer mass or volume of food. You eat a certain reasonable amount of food each day. Let's say you eat 2 meals a day from a hyper carnivore food list, and you eat to a level of true satiety, and then you track that volume of food that you've consumed, and you notice that at that volume or mass of food, you are continuing to drop body fat at a nice slow arc downward over time, then you can simply use that approach. Just track that volume or mass of food and do that. You don't even need calories if you do that. But so many people like the calorie metric to use because it's simple and easy, and there's so much technology out there right on your phone that allows you to use that. Just understand you're going to have to go through a little bit of work right out of the gate to adjust that calorie value to the volume or the mass or the weight of food that you're consuming. And once you make that adjustment towards good trending results, then you can use it again to see the trend towards what your ultimate goal is. All right? All right. So I hate to have to say this. It seems almost disingenuous, but I mean this. If you wouldn't mind just hitting the thumbs up button, hitting the subscribe button if you haven't already, it does help a lot, and support our sponsors in the description below. But I look forward to seeing you again real soon with my new video all about you being unstoppable regardless of your age and what I do step by step to get there over a roughly 12-week program. Oh, one more thing. On my X account, if you go to X, formerly Twitter, and you search at Coach Rob Goodwin, I have already started documenting a very simple bullet point of what I am currently doing in the program every single day. And then when I release the video next week and give you more context to what I'm doing, it'll make a little bit more sense each day when you see my post on X as to what I'm doing as part of that ongoing process in real time every day. So I'd appreciate the follow on X. I'm trying to grow that channel and that medium. And God bless you guys and have a fantastic day. And I'll see you next week. Happy Thanksgiving.